Chosen one, stop. Stop scrolling. Whatever else you have open behind this, close it. If there is a screen in your other hand, turn it face down now, before the next sentence, because God Himself has something to say to you today, and it will not compete with anything for room. That tightness in your jaw, that breath you have been taking only halfway for weeks now, that low hum of noise that follows you from the moment you wake until the moment you finally give up and sleep. Do not push it away. It is the first honest data you have had in months. Maybe the last 72 hours have felt unusually loud in a way that has nothing to do with sound. Perhaps you have prayed while driving, while cooking, while checking something on a screen, and it landed nowhere. Maybe you sat down to be quiet this week and lasted 90 seconds before you reached for your phone. Or maybe you were awake at 3 in the morning, and in that hour it was almost clear, almost audible, and then the sun came up and the noise came back, and you lost it again. So here is what heaven wants you to hear before anything else. He never lowered His voice. You raised the floor. The signal was never withdrawn. It was buried. And the thing burying it is not what you have been confessing about yourself. It is not sin. Sin would be easier, because sin announces itself, and you would have dealt with it years ago. What is burying it is useful. It is the group that needs you. The list that is never finished. The person who calls only when something is wrong. The opposition does not need you to fall, to keep you from hearing. It only needs you to stay busy with good things. You are not spiritually dull. You are a high-sensitivity receiver standing next to a running engine. Within the next 24 hours, the low static, the second-guessing, and the fear that you have somehow been passed over, they can begin to loosen. Not because a new word arrives, because the room finally gets quiet enough for the one already spoken to land. You chose to keep praying when it felt like talking to a wall. You chose to show up on the mornings you felt nothing. You chose to stay honest instead of performing a faith you were not feeling that week. And think back to one moment this week, the pause in the car after you turned the engine off, the few seconds in the doorway before you walked back into the house. The moment you woke before the alarm and something almost formed. You thought nothing came in that moment. Something did. It did not fail to arrive. It failed to survive the next 4 minutes because you filled them. This did not reach you at random. Something older than any system arranged this hour, and it arranged it for now, because a studio being cleared before a recording looks exactly like a studio that has been abandoned. You have been reading preparation as a verdict. So stay with me to the very end. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you the 3 doors where the signal gets swallowed every single day. I am going to walk you through why the good things are the most effective thieves you have. And before we close, I'm going to take you through 8 minutes of stillness that most people have never actually been taught how to enter. If you leave now, you leave the room right as it finally gets quiet. Anointed one, hear what leaving costs. Because I want you to see it and not only agree with it. Picture this week, without this word. Wednesday, you wake at 5:40 and lie there with your eyes open and the same 3 sentences running. The ones about money and the person who will not call back and the thing you should have said. Thursday, you pray in the parking lot with the engine still running. Chosen one. That is not punishment. It is what a room sounds like when nobody clears it, and a room can be cleared. That is the entire message. That is why this hour was arranged. I need to tell you something about my own life before I teach you anything, because I do not want you to think this arrives from a place that never went dark. There was a stretch of 14 months when I believed God had gone quiet on me. I did everything correctly. I got up early, I read, I kept the appointment, and nothing came back. I would sit with my hands open and hear nothing but the refrigerator and my own pulse, and close the book, feeling like a man talking politely into an empty hallway. Chosen one. What I did not know then is that I had never once been alone in that hallway. I had simply arranged my mornings so that the reading was sandwiched between the alarm and the first message I answered. There were 4 minutes of quiet in a day that had 11 hours of input. I was not being ignored. I was being outnumbered. The voice was still arriving. It was arriving into a room that never once went still. Anointed One, there was a second season, years later, that taught me the other half of it. This one was worse, because from the outside, it looked like fruit. I was needed everywhere. 3 people called me every week with something urgent and real. I sat with a family through the hardest month of their lives. I was doing genuinely good work, and by the end of that year, I could not have told you a single thing God had said to me. Not one sentence, not one. I had traded the voice for the errands the voice would have sent me on anyway. Anointed One, here is the lie the opposition whispers into exactly that gap, because it is patient and it knows where you are soft. It does not tell you God is not real. You would fight that, and you would win. It tells you something far quieter. It tells you he has moved on to someone who listens better. It tells you that your season of hearing belonged to a younger version of you, and it has closed behind you like a door in a hallway you cannot find again. That is a lie, and it is not even a creative one, and there is a verdict written against it that is older than your worst week. Scripture says it in Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. Translated into the language of the room you are sitting in right now, it says this: stop moving long enough for one whole sentence to reach you, and the knowing takes care of itself. The command is not believe harder. The command is be still. He is still speaking. You are still here. The only thing missing is still. Chosen One, hear where that leaves you. You were not disqualified. You were not passed over. You were not abandoned. You were unattended. And those are 2 very different rooms. One means nobody is there. The other means somebody is there, and nobody has been watching the levels. Heaven has been speaking at the same volume since the first day you asked. The room is what changed. Chosen One, some words do not only inform you. Some words rearrange the conditions you are listening under while you listen. That is what is happening in this hour, and there is one more piece to it. While preparing what I am going to walk you through today, I kept running into the same finding from an unexpected direction, not from a pulpit, from a laboratory, from a doctor who has spent 2 decades studying how the human mind receives and holds what arrives. What he found explains something that spiritually sensitive people have felt for their entire lives and have never had a word for. I am going to come back to it later in this message, and there is a path to it in the description below and in the pinned comment. But hold this question until then. What if the fog is not who you are? Chosen One, before we go one step further, I want you to check something, and I want you to be honest, in the way you are only honest when nobody is in the room. I am going to describe 4 kinds of evidence. Not sins, evidence. The kind an engineer looks for when a recording comes back thin and nobody can say why. Anointed One, start with your body, because your body files the report before your mind writes it. There is a tightness that sits high in your chest, just under the collarbone, that shows up around 4 in the afternoon and has nothing to do with what happened that day. You take a full breath, maybe twice a day, usually by accident, usually in the shower. And there is an exhaustion sleep does not touch, the kind that makes you cancel a plan you wanted, then feel guilty about the canceling and tired about the guilt. Chosen One, then look at what you do with quiet, because that is the second kind of evidence, and it is the one people miss. You do not dislike silence. You cannot tolerate it. The car has to have something playing before you reverse out of the driveway. The moment the house empties, something goes on, and still you keep trying, which is its own evidence. When you sit down to pray, you get about 90 seconds before your hand moves on its own toward the phone. And the strange part is that you were not bored. You were close to something, and your hand pulled you out. The third kind shows up in how you are with people. Conversations that used to feed you now cost you. You have started saying yes with a half-second delay, and inside that half-second is a small voice you overrule so quickly that you have stopped noticing you overruled it. You are not becoming cold. You are running on a signal too thin to be sure with. And you are still saying yes, which tells me the wanting is still intact. Anointed One, the fourth kind is the one that shames people into silence. So let me name it out loud for you. You finish praying and you cannot remember what you prayed for. You reach the end of a chapter, and realize your eyes moved, but nothing landed. You have heard a truth 20 times and it still has not become a conviction, and somewhere in the last year you had the thought quietly, quickly, and then you buried it. Maybe I have just stopped hearing him. You are still here anyway. Hold on to that. You are not losing your discernment. You are losing your resolution. Those are not the same failure, and only one of them is yours. If none of this describes you, it may not be for you in this season, and that is completely fine. But if 3 of the 4 just landed, stay with me, because there is a name for what you are experiencing, and naming it changes what you can do about it. Engineers who record sound have a term for the lowest level of ambient noise a room produces on its own. Not a sound anyone is making. The hum the room makes just by being a room. They call it the noise floor. And here is the entire mechanism of your last 2 years in one sentence. Your noise floor rose. Nobody announced it. Nothing dramatic happened. It came up by tiny increments across a decade, and the voice that used to sit clearly above it now sits inside it. Chosen one, the studio you have been standing in is not empty, and it was never abandoned. It is being cleared, and clearing is loud work that looks like loss from the inside. The microphone is still live. The chair is still yours. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. But here is where it goes deeper, and this is the part that will cost you a belief you have been carrying for years. When people stop hearing, they almost always reach for the same explanation, and it is the wrong one. They reach for volume. They assume the voice got quieter, and then they assume they know why it got quieter. And the why is always some version of the same sentence. There must be something in me. Chosen one, you go looking. You audit your week for the thing that offended heaven. You confess what you already confessed. You add a discipline, then another. And when the quiet does not lift, you do not conclude that the diagnosis was wrong. You conclude that you have not found the sin yet. That is how a sincere person builds a cage out of sincerity. Anointed one, hear this carefully, because it is the hinge of everything today. Volume was never the variable. In any room where sound is being captured, what determines whether a voice is intelligible is not how loud the voice is. It is the distance between the voice and everything else. 2 people can speak the exact same sentence at the exact same strength, one in a library and one beside a highway, and only one of them gets heard. Nothing changed about the speaker. Everything changed about the gap. You have not been drifting from God. You have been closing the gap between his voice and your background, one small good thing at a time, until they occupy the same level. That is not sin. There is no confession that fixes a level problem. There is only lowering. He is still at the same strength. You are still in range. The room is simply no longer still. Anointed one, this is exactly what happened to a prophet who had just won the most public spiritual victory of his life and then wanted to die. Elijah went into a cave, and God did not answer him in the wind that split the mountain, or in the earthquake, or in the fire. 1 Kings 19, verse 12. After the fire came a low whisper. Read it as an instruction rather than a scene. Heaven chose the one register that requires a cleared room to receive. The mountain was loud. The whisper was still there underneath it, waiting for the noise to finish. So here is your work, and it is not a feeling, it is an audit, and you can start it before you sleep tonight. For the next 24 hours, keep a running count of your sources. Every time an input begins, make a mark. The radio in the car, the show behind the dishes, the scroll while the coffee brews, the podcast during the walk. Do not change a single one, just count. Most people who do this honestly finish the day between 40 and 70 separate inputs, and almost none are bad. That is the whole problem. You cannot repent your way out of a number. Then find your quietest 4 minutes in that day and write them down. That is your real prayer window. Not the one on your calendar, the one your life produces. Once it is on paper, you can widen it. And widening it is not a spiritual achievement, it is a scheduling chosen one. If you are still with me, and something in that audit already stung a little, do this for me now. Comment the words, "Still listening" below, not as a slogan. As a mark on your own timeline, so that in 6 weeks you can scroll back and see the exact hour you stopped blaming yourself for a level problem. Chosen one, as we move deeper into this word, let your spirit take hold of a different picture, because there is an old thing that happens with radio at night. In the daytime, the band is crowded, and the far signal has no room to arrive. But late, when the transmitters closest to you shut down, a station 600 miles away comes through the same receiver with startling clarity, and it was broadcasting the whole time. It was still broadcasting at noon. You simply could not get to it. Nobody in that late hour builds a stronger antenna. Nobody shouts at the dial. The far station becomes audible for one reason: the near ones went quiet. And notice what that means about your nights. 3 in the morning is not a holier hour than 3 in the afternoon. It is simply the hour when the transmitters in your head have finally powered down. That is why so many people meet God in insomnia and then cannot find him at breakfast. It was never about the hour. It was about the floor. He was still speaking at noon, at the school run, in the checkout line. He is still speaking now. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. Chosen one, let us go deeper, because what I am about to name is the thief nobody has ever warned you about, and I need to say it plainly. It is not the bad things eating your reception. You have already fought the bad things. You have boundaries around them. You know their names. The thing eating your reception has a good name and a clean record, and everyone thanks you for it. Think about the last 6 months honestly. There is the group that meets on the night you are most tired, and you go because you said you would in a different season. There is the person who calls only when something has gone wrong, and you always pick up, and never once on a good day. Anointed one, there is the extra work you took on. Maybe it was the weekend shift. Maybe it was the side work you do at the kitchen table after everyone is asleep. And if you are honest, you did not take it because you were called to it. You took it because of the bill you keep sliding from one week to the next, and because the job you have pays you enough to stay and not enough to leave. None of that is sin. Every piece is defensible in front of any honest person, and all of it together has a sound. The useful noise. That is what I want you to carry out of this hour. The useful noise is every genuinely good thing that occupies the exact bandwidth the voice needs, and it is undefeatable by ordinary repentance, because you cannot repent of helping people. Anointed one, this is the trap in one sentence. You cannot say no to something that is not wrong. So the calendar fills with the defensible, and the defensible is louder than the essential. And one day you notice that you have not heard a clear sentence in a year, and you have also not done a single thing you could be ashamed of. Both facts are true at once. That is the signature of the useful noise. Martha was not sinning in that kitchen. She was hosting God. The work was real, and the meal genuinely needed making. And Jesus did not correct her cooking. He named what it was costing her. One thing was needed, and her sister had chosen it by sitting still on the floor while the good work went unfinished around her. Chosen one, here is the tool, and it is uncomfortable in a useful way. Take your recurring commitments and put each through one question. Did I take this because I heard something, or because I could not stand how saying no would look? Do not cancel anything today, just mark them. Most people find 2 or 3 of the loudest items in their week were never assigned to them at all. They were absorbed. And what is absorbed can be released without anyone becoming a villain. You are still allowed to be good. You are simply not required to be loud. Chosen one, as we step into the next unfolding of this word, take this out of your own head for a moment, because a rising noise floor never stops with you. Think about a lake at dawn. A lake does not make the sky. It only reports it. And the only condition under which a lake can hand you an accurate picture of what is above it is that its surface has gone completely still. Chosen one, a raised floor does not only cost you God, it costs you people, and it costs them you. Because the same receiver that has stopped resolving heaven has stopped resolving the person across the table. You hear tone instead of content. You answer the version of the sentence your fatigue expected instead of the one actually spoken. Your spouse says something neutral, and you hear an accusation. Your child asks a question, and you hear a demand. Anointed one. This is why the households of very sincere people can be so strangely tense. Nobody is doing anything wrong. Everyone is broadcasting into a surface that has too much chop on it to reflect anything back accurately, and each person concludes privately that the other one has changed. I have lived through a stretch of exactly that in my own house. I remember sitting across from someone I loved, hearing every word, understanding none of it, and being certain the coldness was theirs. It was not theirs. My floor was so high that week that tenderness could not clear it. Nothing was wrong between us. Something was wrong in the room, and the room was me. Anointed one, let me show you what the other side of this looks like, because I do not want you working towards something you cannot picture. It is an ordinary Tuesday, about 4 months from now. Nothing has been fixed. The bill is still on the counter, but you have kept a small practice. And this morning, you sit down in the same chair with your feet flat and you do nothing for 8 minutes. The first 2 are unpleasant. Around minute 3, your shoulders come down ½ an inch without your permission. Around minute 5, your jaw releases and your teeth stop touching. And somewhere after that, no thunder, no shiver, no rush of emotion you could describe to anyone. One complete sentence arrives, not a mood. A sentence with a subject and a verb about something specific in your actual life. You know it is not yours because you would not have phrased it that kindly. Chosen one, the strangest part will not be the sentence. It will be how ordinary it felt. Like remembering a name you had known the whole time. That is what a lowered floor produces. Not fireworks, legibility. The sentence was still available on the Tuesday, 4 months before that one. You were simply not still enough to catch the whole of it. Now hold on. Before we go further, put both feet on the floor and take one breath that goes all the way down, the kind you have not taken since Sunday. Let the last few minutes settle somewhere below your throat. There is nothing to do with this yet. Just let it land. Chosen one, if you can feel your chest loosen even slightly right now, that is your own system telling you it remembers how. Type the words, "I receive this" below. 2 people who have never met will read that in the middle of their own loud week and know they are not the only ones still trying. So let the lake finish its work in you. A still surface is not a passive thing. It is the only condition under which anything above can be seen at all. And the sky above that lake never leaned closer and never pulled back. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. Chosen one, as we cross into this next layer of the message, I need you to slow down because we are going back to that cave. And this time not for the mechanism, but for the man. Elijah had just called down fire in front of a nation. Then one threat arrived, and he ran for a day into the desert and asked to die under a tree. Heaven fed him twice, let him sleep, and asked him no questions for 40 days. And only after all of that came the thin silence, and the voice inside it. Notice what heaven did not do in that cave. It did not shout over his despair. It waited for the loud things to exhaust themselves, and then it spoke at the one level that cannot be received by a man in motion. And the first thing it said was a question about where he was standing, not a rebuke about how he got there. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. Chosen one, now I owe you the specifics I promised you at the beginning, because a floor does not rise everywhere at once. It rises at 3 particular thresholds, and every single day you walk through all 3. I want to give you their names, because once you can see a door, you can decide what you carry through it. The 3 doors. The first one opens the moment you wake. There is a window of roughly 60 seconds between consciousness and input, and whatever enters it sets the floor for the whole day. Most people fill it with a screen before their feet touch the ground. The first voice becomes the reference level everything else is measured against, and if that voice is a feed, the reference is urgency. Here is what to do with that door, and it costs you nothing. Move the phone out of arm reach tonight, far enough that reaching it requires standing. Then, in that first minute, say one sentence out loud. Speak, "I am listening." Then stay still for the length of one slow breath. You are not trying to hear anything yet. You are setting the floor before the day gets a vote. Anointed one, the second door is stranger, and most people never notice it. It is the door of the question that already has an answer. You have been asking heaven about it for months. Should I stay in this? Should I say the thing? And underneath the asking there is a small settled knowing you keep stepping around because obeying it would cost something. Anointed one, listen. Repeated asking about a settled matter is one of the most effective noise generators a sincere person owns. It feels like devotion, it sounds like seeking, and it fills the exact line the next instruction would have arrived on. Heaven rarely gives sentence 2 while sentence 1 is still lying on the floor unopened. The tool here is a single index card. Write down the one thing you already know and have not done. 1. Then, do the smallest, visible version of it inside 7 days. A message sent, a line drawn. The moment that card is spent, the line clears, and what arrives next tends to arrive fast. Chosen one, the third door is the hardest to say out loud, so I will say it gently. Service can be used as an escape. There is a kind of helping that is genuine, and there is a kind of helping that is a very respectable way of never being alone with what God is saying. If you are always the one who stays late, always the one who takes the call at 11, ask yourself one honest question. When was the last time I sat still with nothing at all to give anybody? The answer is usually years, and you are still telling yourself you are resting. The tool for the third door is a boundary that sounds like nothing. Take one commitment this month and let it be handled by somebody else. Do not announce it as a spiritual decision. Just let the room be quiet for that hour and notice what tries to fill it. Chosen one, as we move into what comes next in this word, hold a smaller picture, because you have lived this one too. You are standing somewhere with one bar of signal, trying to reach someone who matters. Notice what you do not do. You do not shout into the phone. You do not accuse the person on the other end of leaving. You move. You walk to the window. You go outside. You change where you are standing until the line clears. I know what has been rising in you these last few minutes, because it rises in everyone, and I would rather name it than let it sit under the floorboards. Chosen one, the first one sounds like this. That is fine for other people. God speaks to my sister, to the woman at the front of the room, to whoever wrote the book. He does not speak to someone like me. Anointed one, look at what that sentence assumes. It assumes reception is a reward for character. It is not. The whisper at the cave was not given to Elijah on his best day. It was given to him lying under a tree asking to die. Reception is not merit. It is proximity and quiet. And you have never once been told that you are far. You are still inside the room. You always were. Anointed one, the second objection is more stubborn because it comes with evidence. You have tried this. You did the early mornings for 11 days in January, and it collapsed. You did it again in the spring. You are not lazy. You are a veteran of failed attempts, and the failures have taught you something you now believe about yourself. So, hear the distinction. What you tried was adding a practice on top of an unchanged floor. Sitting still in a room that hums at the same level as the voice does not produce hearing. It produces frustration, then shame. And you tried anyway, 3 separate times, which means the hunger is still fully intact. You did not fail at listening. You attempted listening under conditions where listening was not physically possible. And the third one is the quietest, and it stops more sincere people than the other two combined. What if I am making it up? What if that sentence in my chest was only me talking to myself in a kinder voice? That fear is not a symptom of instability. It is a symptom of honesty. People who invent divine voices never worry about inventing them. Your caution is the very faculty that makes you trustworthy with what you hear. Chosen one, here is a test, so the question stops circling. Anything genuinely from God will carry 3 marks together. It will be specific rather than flattering. It will still be there in the morning. And it will point you toward an action you can take without harming another person. Anxiety pushes. Heaven invites. Anxiety speaks in a rush and demands you act before dinner. Heaven speaks once, quietly and is willing to wait. Anointed one, do this with me for a moment and let it be small. Picture the room you pray in, whatever it is, a chair, a car seat, the edge of a bed. Now picture a low, warm light in it, about the level of a lamp left on in a hallway. Not a spotlight. It is not arriving from outside. It has been on the whole time, and it looks dim only because everything else has been so bright. Let the other lights go down one by one and watch what happens to that lamp. It does not get stronger. It gets visible. Chosen one, if you saw that lamp even faintly, mark it. Comment the words, "The room is clearing below." Somebody scrolling at 2 in the morning is going to read it and stay 1 more minute, and that minute may be the one where their own floor drops. And now I want to close a loop I opened near the beginning, because I told you there was something I ran into from an unexpected direction while I was preparing this word, and I said I would come back to it. I waited on purpose. What that team found is not a piece of information. It is a repair, and a repair only makes sense once you can see the exact shape of the break. You can see the shape now. There is one more thing you have to understand about emptiness before I can hand it to you, and then I will bring it forward and hold nothing back. You never blame the person on the other end of a weak line. You change where you stand. That is all repentance has ever meant in this matter. Not groveling, relocating. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. Chosen one, there is one more misreading I have to take from you, and it is the heaviest one, because it is the reason people quit in the last stretch. When the floor finally starts coming down, the first thing you feel is not the voice. The first thing you feel is emptiness. The commitments thin out. 2 people stop calling, the evenings get long, and every instinct in you will read that emptiness as evidence that you did something wrong. I have watched sincere people get to the edge of hearing and turn back at that exact point. They lowered the noise, the room went bare, they panicked, and they refilled it within a fortnight with something equally defensible. Then they told themselves the quiet had been tested and had not worked. If you are still here at this point in the message, you are already past the place most people turn around. Anointed one, take this and keep it. An empty room and a cleared room look identical from the doorway. The only difference is what happens next, and what happens next depends entirely on whether you stay. Emptiness is not the absence of God. It is the sound of space being made, and space always arrives before the thing that will occupy it. The voice is still speaking into that bare room. It is simply the first time in years that nothing is standing on top of it. Anointed one, Joseph understood this in a way that cost him everything to learn. Between the pit and the palace, there was a prison, and the text gives us almost nothing. Years pass in a sentence. No dreams recorded for himself, no visits. The one man who promised to remember him forgot him for 2 full years. From inside that cell, it was not preparation. It was abandonment with a floor and a door. And it was the only room quiet enough for a man who had been handed enormous vision at 17 to become someone who could carry it at 30 without it crushing him. And there were 3 days between a Friday and a Sunday when heaven said nothing at all to anybody. The silence was not a malfunction, it was the interval. The promise was still standing on the Saturday. Nobody could hear it yet. Chosen one, let me show you the second thing waiting on the other side of this. It is a conversation, months from now, with somebody who knew you in the loud season. You will tell them, without drama and without defending it, that you have started hearing again. And here is the part that will surprise you. You will not need them to believe you. The old version of you needed the confirmation, because when you cannot hear clearly yourself, other people become your instruments. You will simply say it, and let it be true in the room, and change the subject. That is what a restored receiver does to a person. It does not make you louder. It makes you unhurried. You stop auditioning your own inner life for an audience, because the source has become legible again, and you no longer need a second opinion. You will still love those people. You will simply stop outsourcing your hearing to them. Chosen one, as we enter this next unfolding of the word, let it get younger for a moment, because a boy once lay down in a house of worship and heard his name in the dark. 3 times he heard it, and 3 times he ran to the wrong room, to the old man asleep down the hall, because a child cannot yet tell the difference between a voice and the nearest available explanation for a voice. Nobody was failing. The boy was simply routing a true signal to a familiar address. It took an old priest with failing eyes to give the boy the one instruction that changed everything, and the instruction was not go and do. It was lie back down and answer. So the boy went back to the same mat in the same dark, and this time, when his name came, he said the sentence recorded in 1 Samuel 3, verse 10. "Speak, for your servant is listening. Say that in the language of your kitchen, and it becomes this: I am not going anywhere, and I am not filling this with my own noise." Anointed one, notice what that costs a whole household. Samuel was hearing accurately in a house where, the text tells us plainly, the word of God had become rare, not absent, rare, which means the transmission had continued through an entire generation that had stopped resolving it, and it took one person willing to lie still in the dark to bring it back into the building for all of them. One still child restored the hearing of a whole house. That is what one lowered floor can do inside a family. Chosen one, stay with me here, because what comes next connects something you have felt in your own body for years with something that was proven in a laboratory, and the connection explains something about your life that nothing spiritual has ever quite explained. If I had said it at the start, you would have heard it as a claim. You will hear it now as a diagnosis, because you have the shape of the problem in your hands. So let me put down every image I have used and say this in ordinary words, the way I would say it across a table. Anointed one, here is why this matters. Everything we have discussed today is about one thing: not your faith, not your worthiness, and not the sincerity of your prayer life. It is about the condition of the receiver at the moment something arrives. You have spent years working on the transmission side of a problem that lives entirely on the reception side. That is why the effort has not paid what effort usually pays. Here is what the reception side actually is. Your mind was built with 2 halves, designed to work as one instrument. When they are working together, you take in information whole. You get insight instead of noise, meaning instead of fragments. And the quiet in a sentence arrives complete rather than in pieces you have to reconstruct. When they drift out of that shared operation, nothing about you becomes worse in character. You simply lose resolution. Everything arrives, and less of it survives the trip. The sentence is still sent in full. You receive it in fragments and then blame the sender. Chosen one, here is who this is for. It is for the person who has been faithful for a long time without the corresponding clarity, who kept the practice through seasons that gave nothing back, who has read every book about hearing God and can quote the principles and still cannot reliably hear a whole sentence. If you have privately concluded that something in you is defective, I want to hand you a better explanation and the evidence behind it. It was never a devotion problem. It was a resolution problem. One of those you can carry shame about. The other one has an address. So let me tell you what I found and where I found it, because it did not come from a pulpit or from anyone in a spiritual community. It came from a laboratory, from a doctor in New York who has spent his working life studying how a human being takes in what is placed in front of them, and it traces back to a discovery that changed medicine before most of us were born. Here is the answer to the question I asked you to hold. It won the Nobel Prize. In 1981, something was proven in a laboratory that most people sitting in spiritual communities have never been told about. Dr. Roger Sperry received the prize for work on the 2 halves of the human brain. They are one instrument built to run in synchrony, and how much of anything survives the trip into you depends on how well that synchrony holds. When the halves run as one, the research calls it whole brain activation, meaning arrives assembled instead of in pieces. It is also the default condition of childhood. Around 98% of young children test at creative genius level. Fewer than 1 adult in 1,000 still holds it. Modern life erodes the synchrony quietly, across decades, exactly the way a noise floor rises. A woman from California described the before, a nurse who had tried every practice her community offered. She believed the words and could not feel the reality underneath them. About 10 days in, she said something cleared, not because she pushed harder, because the receiver had been repaired. A man from Texas described it from the other side. Years of carrying everyone while his own interior went thin, until prayer felt like speaking into a wall. 2 weeks in, he woke and said his mind was running on all of what it was meant to run on. That is because of what the team I am about to describe spent years building. Neuroscientists led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol used in specialized medical settings, and compressed it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. Headphones, eyes closed. That is the whole physical requirement. They call it the genius switch. Not a meditation app, not background sound for a mood. A sequence engineered on the Sperry research to return the two halves to the operation that was your default before 30 years of good obligations pulled them apart. The genius switch is not for everyone. It is for the person who has been faithful for years without the clarity faithfulness was supposed to come with. Most people will scroll on because they have accepted the reduced version of their own mind as permanent. You are still here. That is the persistence it was built for. Colleagues said it would be fair value at $500. In-person neurofeedback runs $300 an hour. A home unit near $7,000. It came out instead at $49. And on their page, there is a further $10 off, bringing it to $39. 4 things come with it at no cost. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator, a grocery guide that saves most households over $100 a month, a century-old manifestation text, and a printable sheet of 5 habits. All of it sits behind a complete money-back guarantee. Listen once or listen 80 times. If it does not do what it has done for more than 18,000 people, every dollar comes back. Anointed one, what God has already placed near you becomes recognizable in the synchronized state in a way it does not in the partial one, not because the provision is new, because the receiver that can identify it has been restored. The only open question is the condition you arrive in. One thing worth naming plainly, search the free audio libraries for a similar name and you will find tracks. His team studied them. Most carried no neural sync technology at all. The mechanism is the difference, and it exists only in what they built. Their page is the only verified source, and that is where the link points. Chosen one, if your spirit resonates with what has been described, it is in the description below and in the pinned comment. You can read everything there before deciding anything. And hear me, the tool does not replace God. It does not obey for you. It does not sit still on your behalf at 6 in the morning. What he is doing in you is conditional on nothing you can purchase. But a repaired receiver gives what he already says more of what it was designed to land in. Chosen one, we come back to the boy on the mat, because there is a whole generation in that story that never heard anything, and not one of them was punished for it. They simply lived in a house where nobody had been taught how to be still. And when one person finally was, the house got its hearing back. That is what is available to your family through you, and it is not a burden, it is a privilege. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. Chosen one, I want to give you something now that will change how that verse from Psalm 46 sits in you forever. The Hebrew word behind be still is Rapha. It does not mean be quiet. It has almost nothing to do with sound. Rapha means to let the hands drop, to slacken, to stop gripping. It is the word you would use for a soldier lowering a weapon, or for fingers releasing a rope. They have been holding so long, the holding has become invisible to them. So the command was, never be silent and know that I am God. It was, let go and know that I am God, which means the stillness heaven asks of you is not a performance of quiet, it is the release of the grip. You are not being asked to be a better meditator. You are being asked to put something down, and you already know what it is. You have been carrying it so long that your hand has shaped itself around it. Anointed one, there is a second word, from the cave. What Elijah heard is often given to us as a still small voice. But the Hebrew there is demama, and demama is not a voice at all. It is a thin silence, a hush with shape to it. The text says he heard a sound of thin silence, and only inside that did the words come. So notice the order, because everyone gets this backward. The silence came first, and it was itself the thing he heard. The words were carried in it, the way a letter is carried in an envelope. There is a man in Michigan I heard about who took this seriously in the plainest way possible. No retreat, no course. He sat in the same chair for 10 minutes every morning for 6 weeks. And by his own account, the first 2 weeks were miserable. The third week was boring. And somewhere in the 5th week, he stopped bracing for something to happen. That was when things began arriving. Not visions, instructions about ordinary matters, a conversation to have, a number to actually look at. The order of his own day. Anointed one. If that ordinary picture is what your spirit has been reaching for this whole time, then claim it now while your hands are already loosening. Type the words, "I am still here" below. You are not asking for anything. You are answering. Chosen one, stay with me through what is left, because I am going to walk you into that stillness before we finish, not describe it. 8 minutes with 4 movements, and by the end of it, you will know from the inside whether your floor can come down. But before that, there is one more thing I have to correct, and it is the thing you are least expecting, because it is not about the noise at all. Chosen one, as we step into the final unfolding of this word, go under the water with me. A diver drops beneath the surface, and the boat above starts calling. From down there, everything sounds like everything else. And the diver, frightened, does the most human thing possible. He kicks harder. He churns the water around his own ears with his own effort, and he wonders why the calling has stopped. It has not stopped. He is swimming inside the sound of himself. And the only thing that has ever worked down there is the thing that feels most like surrender. He stops. He goes limp for 3 seconds in water he does not trust. And in that gap between one stroke and the next, the calling comes through the water intact, and he knows exactly which direction the boat is in. Not because anyone shouted, because he stopped adding to the water. He never raised his voice. He never had to. He was never the one who moved away. And here is the part you probably did not expect. Chosen one, it is not the group on the wrong night. It is not the phone on the nightstand. It is not the season or the workload. Those all raise the floor, and everything I have taught you about them is true and worth doing. But they are not the reason you have been standing in this particular silence this long. The reason is quieter, and I have to say it carefully, because I am not accusing you of anything. You have already heard. Not once, 3 separate times, and you can name all 3 right now without effort, which is the whole proof, because things we did not really hear do not stay retrievable for years. There was the thing you knew in the car. There was the thing that came while you were washing up and you stood there with your hands in the water. There was the thing a person said to you that landed too precisely to be a coincidence, and you laughed and changed the subject. Anointed one, you did not disobey any of them. You did something far more respectable. You asked for one more. The 4th confirmation. And the 4th confirmation is the one heaven almost never sends, because sending it would teach you that 3 were not enough, and heaven does not train people to distrust what they have already been given. So the silence you have been standing in is not withdrawal. It is a held position. It is a line held open on the last complete sentence, waiting for a reply that has not come yet. Nothing new arrives, while something whole is still lying unopened. Chosen one, hear the other half, because I will not leave you under it. You did not fail. You asked for a 4th, because the first 3 cost something you genuinely could not pay in the season they arrived in. Asking again is what kept you in the room, instead of walking out of it. Every one of those requests was faith, wearing the only clothes it had that year. But the season has changed, and you are not that tired anymore, and you know it, or you would not still be listening this far in. And if what was described earlier about the mind moved something in you, that path is still open in the description. It is a small step, Small steps taken from a cleared room have changed entire years for people. One more thing before the stillness. If any part of this has put a word to something you have carried alone, gently press the like on this video. Not for me. There is somebody awake right now who needs this exact sentence, and that is how it finds them. Anointed one, now let everything settle. No more teaching, no more explaining. From here to the end, there is nothing left to understand, only something to do, and it is the simplest thing you have been asked to do in months. So we are going to do the 8 minutes now, together, and I am going to hold the room for you while you do it. Sit where you are, both feet down, hands open on your knees, palms up, because that position is not decoration, it is Rafa in the body. You do not need to close your eyes if that feels strange. You only need to stop adding. Chosen one, the first 2 minutes belong to the drop. Do not pray, do not ask. Take whatever you walked in here carrying and let your fingers come off it. The unanswered message, the number in the account, the person you are angry at and have been carrying like a stone in your coat pocket. You are not solving any of it in the next 8 minutes, and pretending otherwise is more water in your own ears. Let the hands go slack, let the shoulders come down, let the jaw unhook. The next 2 minutes belong to the inventory, and this is the part nobody teaches. The noise will come. It always comes, and most people take its arrival as proof that they are bad at this. You are not. Noise showing up is the room reporting honestly. So do not fight it. As each one arrives, name it in one word and set it down. Money, work, her, tomorrow. Say the word inwardly, set it on the floor beside you, and go back to your hands. If it comes back 9 times, set it down 9 times. That is not failure. That is the floor coming down one item at a time. Anointed one, the third 2 minutes belong to the empty room, and it will feel like nothing is happening. Stay anyway. This is the exact place where almost everyone reaches for something, and the reaching is what has cost you years. An empty room and a cleared room look identical from the doorway. You are not sitting in absence. You are sitting in space that is being made. The last 2 minutes belong to the sentence. Say it once, out loud if you can, quietly if you cannot. Speak, for your servant is listening. Then stop talking. Do not repeat it. Do not decorate it. Say it once and remain, because you have spent your whole life filling the 4 minutes after, and today you are going to leave them open. Chosen one, before you get up, do this one small thing so your body can find its way back here without me. Lay your right hand flat over the center of your chest and press, gently, for the length of one breath. That pressure is now attached to this state. In 3 days, in the middle of a loud afternoon, put your hand there again, and the body will remember the room before the mind does. That is your way back in, and nobody can see you do it. Chosen one, stay in that for one more moment. Before anything else, let something be counted. You are still here. Through 14 months of not knowing, through the season you would not describe to anyone, through the mornings you showed up empty and stayed anyway. Nobody applauded any of that. It was still recorded. Anointed one, let something go. Not the person, not the situation, just the verdict. The private sentence you passed on yourself somewhere in the last 2 years, the one that said you had become someone God does not speak to anymore. Take that sentence out of your chest and set it down on the floor with everything else. It was never true, and it was never yours to carry. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I am still here. I am still his. He is still speaking, and he never stopped. My floor is coming down. I was not abandoned. I was unattended, and that room is being cleared tonight. I am still enough to hear it. Chosen one, say that out loud where you can hear yourself, because there is a reason we speak these rather than think them. A thought stays in the room it was made in. A spoken word leaves your mouth and comes back through your own ears, and the part of you that has been listening to your discouragement for 2 years finally hears something else in the same voice it has been trusting all along. And if you said it, put it where it can be found. Type the words, still enough to hear below, so that in a month you can come back and read your own handwriting from the night the room got quiet. Anointed One, the recording was never cancelled. The chair is still yours. The one who has been speaking since before you had language is still speaking, at exactly the strength he has always used, and he is not in any hurry at all. Go gently now, and may the quiet you carry out of this hour keep opening in front of you, like a door nobody has to knock on. You are loved, you are heard, and you are already home.